Hello and welcome to ITGD Sports with me, Alan John. And today we have a special guest, Sandeep Mishra sir. A great, I just sat with him for a couple of minutes. I was just taken aback by the knowledge of hockey that he has. He just gave me a stat about 1989 when I was not even born about this India versus Korea match. And I was just blown away. And it's an honor to have you, sir, joining us. He will be with us till the final. He's going to be here 7th, and we are going to be discussing what happened today. So let's start off with the first match, sir. It was Japan versus Chinese Taipei. I thought it was going to be a far more one-sided contest, but credit to Chinese Taipei. They did a brilliant job. They stopped it, and obviously Japan would be a little disappointed.
I think so. I mean, if you really look at Japan's record over the last 3-4 years, especially since the time they won the 2018 Asian Games gold medal in Jakarta, at the time everything was okay for them in terms of the coaching formats, the assistant coaches and all of that. But after that, once the formats were broken in terms of the coaching aspects, I think they have struggled. They have literally struggled. And the big point that we keep making about the Super Fours and Japan or other teams is India over the last 6 to 7 years has been consistently playing at the top level tournaments. Most of the Asian nations haven't got an opportunity. So it's easy to say that they are lagging behind, but it's also, I think one needs to analyze the fact that because they don't get top grade competition, they are unable to move up. And that is probably something that the FIH needs to look into. So Japan in that sense, I think will come good if you really see the players. I think once the coaches settle down, they get this 3-4 years with the team, that's the time when the team starts moving.
And now let's talk about the second game, Malaysia versus China. We were all expecting it to be a very tight game, and it was. It was just like a chess game. And then in the third quarter, Malaysia turned it on. They won 2-0. And so, how do you rate that performance from Malaysia? They are 4 out of 4 right now, and they face India next.
I think if you really need to pick a point, where you probably want to say, okay, this is the blame area, I think I'll put it on the bench of the Chinese. At the end of the day, if you're really going to get into fights, if you're really going to get into those kind of arguments where you're going to pick up cards, either of the team. But what happens is with the experience of Malaysia, they can still come back. But with China, whose experience at this level or even at the top level is so less that for them to come back after a skirmish right in the middle of the pitch, it gets very difficult to get your focus back. At that moment of time, one needs to understand the Malaysian coach Sarjit. He's been, I mean, I've seen him since the time he played the Barcelona Olympics and then played the World Cup qualifying. He's been a fantastic centre half since then. Later on became a coach. In fact, when Malaysia beat India at the 2002 World Cup, I think he was one of the assistant coaches under Paul Lissek, the German legend. So Sarjit knows where to take the opportunity, and at that moment of time, I think he turned the game around. He knew the Chinese were slightly, jittery, and that's when Malaysia took it away.
Now we'll come back to Malaysia again because India are going to play Malaysia next. Now coming to the Indian game, what was your feelings? Was it disappointment, or was it the fact that thank God that we finally managed to get a point? So was it an opportunity missed, or was it something that they just were able to edge out at the end?
Well, I asked a couple of players the same question, but for me, the game was extremely technical. Don't look at the first quarter, second quarter. Don't look at the game like that. Look at the game from just one angle, trapping. This game is just about that one basic element that every team practices on. Korea, right from the day they have come into the fray, leave alone the teams that were before 1990, even after 1990, all the teams that actually played under Park, all of them were so good at trapping that they may lose a game, but technically they were perfect. Today, I think it also makes anybody who understands the game, who enjoys the game, to look at these technical aspects. I think India would have still got through with the kind of opportunities they have, but the Koreans knew what they were doing. I think for a brief moment of time in the fourth quarter, if India would have held back, I think it would have probably made sense to the bench, to the players. But I think they went in so many times that it actually got to them as to why the hell are we not scoring?
Yeah.
The reason you were not scoring is because they were soaking in you so much that they were so adapted. If you, when you see the highlights, you will actually see that they
Yeah.
were taking it out so beautifully. And I think that also is a momentum. That also is a rhythm that most defensive teams, when they play defensive, they get into. And I think today Korea was excellent in that aspect. India's always been excellent in attacking, but it's always whether you're going to get those goals, when, where, how,
How?
all of those things. I think Craig today must be extremely disappointed.
One of the things that, yes, during the Kazakhstan game, when I asked Manpreet and when I asked Coach Fulton, one of the things that they said was the stress on creating penalty corners, because the biggest weapon that we have is Harmanpreet Singh. But today, the there was almost, I think, at a point we were just not trying to create PCs. Is that a big concern for you going forward? And also the fact that our forwards are still not clicking. It's almost like, they're just one pass away or just one step behind from getting a beautiful goal. Is that what you feel like if you had to analyze this performance today?
I think, let me ask you something, that when you saw the Indians move in, just imagine or just think about the space that they were getting. Okay, they were getting the space. Abhishek got the space, Mandeep got the space, Dilpreet got the space. Now, why were they getting the space is something that we need to think about. The Koreans were moving away to the side. They didn't want number one to give a PC away. But number 26, I'm forgetting the name of the goalkeeper, he was getting the frontal shots.
Right.
Frontal shots are easier than penalty corners to take, and that is one reason why the Koreans let you come in, enabled you to use that space, probably made you a little greedy. That okay, I'm getting the space, let me take a reverse. I think we saw
Couple of
Abhishek missing.
Yes, yes.
He had a ball which was straight on, a direct shot, but he yet went into that because he knew that if he gets a reverse off, he might get a deflection. But I think that's the beautiful aspect about the third and the fourth quarter, is that they gave us space and they kind of crowded us out on the sides, but they never got their feet in. I think that was so brilliant from the Koreans, and I'm seeing this after a long, long time from a Korean side.
And now coming to tomorrow's game, India versus Malaysia, they need to quickly regroup. And one of the funniest things was I was asking the coach, because I thought Akimullah Anwar, who scored 10 goals, he was not playing in the first two quarters. Now I was surprised. I thought, is he carrying a niggle? Is he going to be unavailable for the India game? No, I went and asked the coach. The coach gave me a beautiful answer. He said, no, we were playing the low block. So Akimullah is not a good player when it comes to the low block. Then I asked him again, so are you going to use that against India? He had a sly smile, and it's kind of evident that they might be using this. Even Craig Fulton said when I asked him that are they going, if they are going to use it, how do you counter it? He said against the best team you are going to do that. So is that going to be the plan that Malaysia will use tomorrow here in Rajgir?
I honestly doubt it. I mean, whatever little I know about Sarjeet, and also I think we all need to understand that when a good, let's say, one of the better centre halves of his time becomes a coach, they think centre half. Number 7, I'm again forgetting the name of the player. Number 7 is the kind of a player that Sarjeet used to be. Moving in and out, the libero, he's holding the ball, he's understanding the situation of where the forwards are. I think the first quarter is going to be so crucial to India, and this is what history says constantly. India gets couple of goals in, or even if it's a 3-1, 2-1 situation, India will ram its way through. But if the first quarter is goalless, or if Malaysia score once, then India comes into a shell. It's always said about Dilpreet that why is he not opening up as a centre forward? I think it's because he goes into a shell when he misses. I think that last match where he kept missing, and then suddenly that 15 score line, and then the whole team celebrated because he got the goal in. I think that aspect of Dilpreet is slightly, I think, that shows that the player is very edgy, and I think Malaysia will try and counter the forwards on that. But Sarjeet, I think, as a centre half and then now a coach, I don't know whether he'll do the low block or he's going to wait for the Indians to come in to take the ball away, but he is going to go all out in the first quarter because that is where he can catch us napping. And let's also be a little critical. Our goalkeeping is not up the mark. I don't think those goals, at least the first goal, the penalty corner goal, was extremely soft. Goalkeeper knows or should be able to get down. If you're unable to get down there, there's some issue happening in terms of you reading a PC. That means you've not been on the video monitor too much. But I think let's hope that the Malaysians will not come at us with that kind of ferocity. And
So after this game, I know it's early days, but let's just say if you are going to predict who are going to be in the final, do you still feel India can make it?
absolutely, today's game could have easily gone 5-2. Could have easily gone 5-2. Only if they wouldn't have gone all that crazy in the circle. They could have easily drawn the ball out. They could have crowded the Koreans more, getting the feet more, getting more PCs more. Right. I think they got 6 or 7 penalty corners, which is where you need to still score 30%, 40%. Listen, any 30%, 40% score of a penalty corners is brilliant. Right. You actually don't get too many of those pieces in because these guys are very, very adept at reading videos. Right. So I think in that sense, I still believe it could be an India-Malaysia, it could be a India-Korea because I think somewhere China is kind of burning themselves off.
So I think we have got our verdict right now, at least for today. Now we come back tomorrow. We'll have India versus Malaysia, an important game, Korea versus China in the mix of things because Super Force is now heating up. We had the rain today, which kind of cooled down things for a little bit. We had to wait for 50 minutes or so. But yeah, we will be back tomorrow. Let's hope the rain stays away. We get better conditions and we get a better performance from India as well. So this is me, Alan John, and
Thank you so much for this.
yeah, and Sandeep Mishra sir also, who is going to be here, and you're going to hear a lot more about hockey going forward. So thank you guys, and see you all tomorrow.